Y'all, we live in difficult times. There's war, political unrest, the pandemic, poverty, families being torn, communities ripped by gun violence and people dying every day. Police, injustice, it's all bringing so much pain. But y'all, we can look inside our minds and we can understand who we are, become better, and do this thing like we've never done it before. But it all starts with our mental health, and I know we can do it. I believe in you because I believe in me, and I believe in us. Hello, and welcome again for another episode of Therapy is Life, where thinking, feeling, and experiencing well-being is the name of the game. We've been talking about children, we've been talking about guns, and we've been talking about parenting. And I guess you might ask, as a therapist, why you might be talking about this stuff? It's called social determinants of health. We can all sit around and we can talk about individual efforts in cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy, and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And really help people. But I realize that if we're really going to do our best, our society, our environment needs to be better because they impact our well-being also. And so parenting, we have to teach our kids that our value, who we are. Yes, we want to have nice things. In our core, who we are is not about things. And by the way, if you ever really want to be truly wealthy, those individuals, they don't walk around looking like it. Mm-hmm. Oh, and with that being said, parenting and watching, letting your kids have all this unlimited access to social media.
Watching, you letting the social media, you letting the internet parent your baby, you know? That's definitely watching, not paying attention to screen time, not limiting access to certain things, put on parent controls, realizing that you don't just give your child electronics to babysit them or pacify them, because those electronics is what's parenting them and teaching them and ingraining things in their minds. Not saying that they're on there watching violent things, but they're, I forgot the name, Blippi or whatever that the kids are watching now. Then that becomes their parent. That becomes the person that's teaching them things. Yes, Blippi and all the other educational things are teaching them education, but you want to have that relationship with your child. You want to meet them where they are and figure out what is it that they know, whatever they don't know, what they need to know. Uh-huh. So, yeah, I would say that social media, a lot of that would be watching and not even knowing their accounts.
And check this out. My kid's trying to talk to me and I'm constantly on my phone looking at my accounts, my TikTok, my YouTube, trying to look at my ratings and all that kind of stuff. And they trying to talk to me and I'm not even engaging them. Right. And in many families now, kids go home, they have their tablets, they have their phones, they go to their rooms, the parents, they on their phones, they're doing their thing, they're not even interacting. Yeah. People don't even do dinner no more. All they do is this. Like, they don't even do dinner no more. Like, do y'all have dinner? Or do y'all have a time for dinner, or play board games and engage and talk, or even have that conversation, that boring, we call it that boring conversation. How was your day? What's going on with you? How are you feeling? Yeah. Not having that dialogue, or going outside and taking a walk, doing those kind of things. Absolutely. To build some type of rapport. Yeah, but let me ask you another one. Is it parenting or watching when all we ever emphasize is that our kids make good grades, or be like really good grades, or be like the best athlete? And it seems like that's always what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. You gotta be that A student, you gotta be that best athlete. And so we constantly got them in things, we look like a great dad because we out there rooting for our kids and being in every activity. But I mean, what's your thoughts? Because I was about to go there, but I wonder, what's your thoughts on that?
Complex.
It is complex.
Parenting, but really, who is parenting your child? The coaches, right? They're involved in so many different activities. They're never home. They're always doing things, and they're always active. So it looks like you're being a good parent because they're not in the streets, or they're not, just sitting at home doing nothing. But you're kind of just like watching them as well. People tend to put their children in a lot of activities because we're looking at them being successful, them learning skills. Of course, they're learning skills. Sports, you're learning discipline, right? So it is a form of parenting because you're guiding them in the direction they should go, but we want to find that balance so they can be involved in activities as well as you spending some time with your own child, doing the board games with them, doing some physical activity with them, having times where you guys just sit down and, watch movies and talk about your day. So making sure that there's a balance there so they're not involved in too many activities.
And another thing I'll add to that is I believe that children need unstructured playtime with their peers. Because I think like when we play sports and we do those things, it's all structured. All the answers and everything is given. The boundaries are set. But children's creativity and children's problem solving skills are actually profoundly developed in situations where they have to go and they have to figure out things. What you gonna do here? How y'all gonna work? When we was growing up, we would go outside and we play football or we play baseball or whatever it was. We have to establish the rules. We have to debate what those were.
Yes.
Also, there has to be an environment, I think, where kids and family have to share and engage with each other. So maybe okay, so now we got a TV in a room, but now there's certain days where we have to share and negotiate the use of that TV. Why? Because that promotes problem solving. That promotes us working together and figuring some things out.
Yeah.
Why are we having this conversation? Because I think at the end of the day, when we listen to things like what happened in the little boy in Virginia, or we talk about other shootings and things that have happened, when we think about the way we oftentimes parent now and engage our children, so much of it is so, I'm going to say, antisocial.
Okay.
It's not real. We're not really engaging.
Yeah.
And for millions of years, human beings have been social creatures. But now we're becoming, particularly in America, becoming more so individualistic in our experiences and our engagements.
Yeah.
And when we engage people, it's always structured and somebody else always setting the rules. So when we come across situations where it doesn't really work for us, we don't know how to respond.
Okay. Absolutely. So we're looking at slowing down.
Yeah, slowing down.
Slowing down to be more mindful and more present for our children. As we were talking, I was thinking about the 10-year-old in Wisconsin that I just brought up recently. I was reading a little bit about things that mom did proactively. She noticed that something was going on with her child. He had a mental health diagnosis. He had a therapist. She had cameras in the home because she realized at probably the age of 4 that something was going on with her child. So she did some parenting there. She did.
Engaging.
She tried to keep her child in the home. So it looks like, from what I'm understanding, is he had some mental health issues going on. And unfortunately, this is the end result of those mental health issues. So as parents, we want to look at slowing down more, being more present for our children, being mindful of how our own trauma, our own history, and our own thoughts can influence our parenting styles and what that does for our children.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. And making sure that, if you're the pastor's kid or you that parent that was the basketball coach or the basketball phenom, now you're putting pressure on your kid to be really good, or you was a scholar and you put a lot of pressure on your kids to be really good in school, that it's done with, like you said earlier, balance.
Yeah, finding that balance.
Yeah, so that whole person is fed, because you don't want your kid to feel inadequate, or if they get a B and it's like, oh, you ain't crap, you got a B, and they're feeling like, oh my God, and they really want to do that, they really want to do well, or they're not the athlete that you was, and now you got a problem with it and everything. But but that,
let the child be who they are.
Yeah.
Don't try to define that for them. It's enough that when they enter this world, we're already giving them their name is already given, their nursery is picked out. We clothe them, we dress them. They're criticized at school on what they should look like or, should be doing. So at least give them some type of encouragement and empower your child to say, this is what I like, this is what I dislike. Right. And that goes back to slowing down. stepping out of your own judgment on what your child should look like or should be doing or should be able to do, right?
Right.
Every child is not athletic. I can't expect my daughter to get a track scholarship. She don't even run. Like, they're athletic built young ladies. However, that is not what they want to do. So I can't instill my own values onto my children.
Right. And I want to say, it's so important that we are self-aware
Yes.
in our parenting, that we challenge our kids. I like to believe that parents have to do these things. Number one, we have to provide our kids with their basic needs and clothing,
Yep.
water, those things, right? Shelter. Mm-hmm. We have to protect them. But then there's this emotional piece, engaging and fostering their sense of self and self-worth. What your mom and what your dad or what your family members say about you, and they breathe life into you.
Yes.
But then there's this part of helping kids learn how to master skills and develop themselves. So through vocational, sports, education. Then there's this issue of learning how to solve problems. Though these are things that we have to help our kids develop.
Yes.
When we do that the right way, our kids, hopefully they'll come up and be more well-rounded. And with that being said, a lot of times we talk about bullying and kids being picked on. I oftentimes like to say this. I believe that when kids have an environment where they've been protected, affirmed, supported, they've been challenged to deal with negative emotions, mm-hmm. and still been encouraged.
Yes.
They tend to interpret bullying differently than the kid who goes home. He's told or she told bullied. He gets bullied at home. He's called or she's called everything, mm-hmm. made to feel like because maybe she's not the right size or have the right look, that she ain't that cute or whatever and stuff like that. So she doesn't get it at home, mm-hmm. and then she goes to school, she doesn't get it or he doesn't get it. And now when this child is suffering and they're struggling, and the parents are putting off their hate and their disgust of themselves off on this child ends up taking their life, and then the parents are like, oh no, we didn't see this coming, what's happened? They were just bullied at school, and people was being mean to them. But in reality, that was true. But at home,
they didn't feel safe and secure either.
They didn't feel safe and secure either. They had no place.
Yeah.
No one they could really go to and talk to about their feelings and emotions. And you think about those kids who don't fit societal norm in terms of their gender or whatever, those things. Mm-hmm. And they don't...
Increases the chances.
Increases the chances, because life itself, if it's not validated, we're more likely to want to escape the life experience, mm-hmm. if we're not validated and we don't feel a sense of purpose.
In. Yeah, we don't have a purpose.
Yeah, and so I think as parents, we got to be able to breathe the life into our kids. So we got to be mindful of our own self, and sometimes we gonna need some help, not just being parents, but like our self-care.
Mm-hmm. Knowing when to step back. Knowing when to just release that power and control. Yes, we are parents. Yes, our job is to keep our children safe and to teach them. However, if you ever have that moment where you're just like, I'm at a loss for words, I feel like I've done everything that I can, take a step back. Right? Sometimes we don't always have to be in control. As parents, we don't always know the answers. Giving yourself that grace and reminding yourself that you've never done this before. Right? Even if you have 6 children, every child is different. They come with their own personality, their own quirks. Everything is different. So we're not going to parent one child like we would parent another child. We can't say like, well, this worked with Josie and now it's not working with Brandon, so I'm a failure. No. Take a step back and really just realize that you are a human being. And sometimes you got to reach out for help. Calling a loved one, calling a friend, reading self-help books. There's so many different forums and podcasts and resources to help parents when you know that you are struggling. No one says that you have to parent your child completely on your own. Sometimes parents feel like they have to overcompensate. If there's an absent parent, then we feel like, oh my gosh, I got to make up for what such and such is not doing. Or I got to do this because I can't do that. Sometimes we really don't have to. Just being able to accept this is what is right now.
It is. And that whole two parent family, that's such an ideal, because if you don't have the right two parents, it ain't gonna be
it's
good
like
anyway.
heaven.
But yeah, you know, like, cause you could
Yeah.
sometimes you have addition by subtraction. I remember a kid once, a family that I worked with. Hey, the kid didn't get his first case until his dad came around. So you know, he was better off. Addition by subtraction. But listen, you know, we got into this because, you know, we was talking about guns, and I really think if we are good parents, we'd be self-aware. We realize we got to ask ourselves, why we are constantly living in fear? Because when we live in fear and think we need all this stuff to protect ourselves, at the end of the day, maybe we're putting our kids in a more vulnerable place, which then leads to some of the stuff we've been seeing. Over 3,500 kids died by guns in 2021. We don't know what 2022 numbers are, but most of those situations were homicides, followed by suicides, and the others were accidental. And so my point is, if we are parenting and doing the things that we need to do and making sure our kids are safe, perhaps our kids will be less likely to be in those situations in the first place, whether we have our guns stored or not. But we should store them properly. But if we're doing what we need to do, we're not so busy on our phones, study on my phone, or you know what we're doing, or, you know, doing the other stuff, or putting out some hate towards other people because our own insecurities, then maybe our kids won't internalize that. So they'll be less likely to be in that situation. Remember, as Tupac says, the hate you give little children F's everybody. Niesha?
All right. Thank you. That was a good word. Good word. And like he was saying, decrease. We're not saying 100% this is going to end all, but it will decrease and it will increase awareness in the home.
Gotcha. Thank you. If you like this, like and subscribe. Add your comments to the comment box. I really want to hear what you guys got to say about kids and guns, because I think it's an interesting debate. You know, I could say a whole lot more, but
okay,
I don't want to be accused of anything. Y'all have a nice day, and we'll talk to y'all later.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Thanks for joining.